and that is a conservative estimate. In wasted fuel, lost productivity, and increased overheads. And it also drives away investment. So all this information, if you go through my paper and the proceedings, I've indicated the sources and the references, so it's not made up stuff. But I couldn't put them in the slides for interest of saving the space. Now, let me take you through what existing literature says about the common causes of congestion in Dar es Salaam. There are 4 categories. So the first one is urban structure and land use. Okay? If you go through literature and research, the first issue is urban structure and land use. That the city structure is monocentric, therefore it forces all the traffic to the CBD. So that by itself is a problem. And we have an unplanned urban sprawl. The city is expanding indefinitely towards Mbezi, Bunju, Mbagala, and now resulting in long commuting distances with poor connectivity. The second factor that is cited in literature, in most literature, is the rapid growth in travel demand. That Dar es Salaam population is rapidly growing, and it is outpacing capacity. There is rising private car ownership, and there is increased commercial activities, which result in increased trips and freight traffic, which of course exacerbated congestion. The third one is usually inadequate road network. We depend on a few arterial corridors, and worse still, they have limited ring roads or bypasses. And we have severe bottlenecks at major intersections that actually we are stuck during peak hours. And we experience periodic flooding because of inadequate traffic. The fourth factor that is in literature is inadequate public transport. Of course, we have tried to cover the city with BRT, but it's still limited. But the most serious problem, it is poorly integrated with the feeder routes, so it might not have the maximum results that we expected. But also we have an unstable multimodal mix where we have unregulated motor taxis. Motor taxis are Bajaj and border borders, which create instability and lower road capacity. The fifth factor that is usually cited is traffic management shortcomings, that we don't properly manage traffic. Now, our signals are fixed time, they are uncoordinated, and usually manually run by police. We have a huge driver discipline problem, which it's not addressed. We have illegal overtaking on the road, illegal parking, queue jumping, lane indiscipline, seriously exacerbating congestion, and we have weak incident management. The vehicles will break down, even run out of fuel, and there are no repercussions, so you don't care. People leave them on the road, and they cause long queues, etc. But the sixth factor, which is my target for this paper, is governance framework. We have fragmented mandates that the mandates for addressing congestion are distributed into different institutions. So most literature cite this, but actually my target is we don't have a lead traffic agency, which is rarely mentioned in those papers. Now, it's possible to address congestion. So unlike the 5 factors, itself impedes efforts to address congestion. And that is why you end up with chronic congestion. We have weak integration of land use and transport planning, which is, of course, if you have poor institutional arrangement, then that will be a problem. With prioritization of projects lacking technical justification, also if governance is poor. So the problem now that my presentation is addressing is that infrastructure deficits and rapid urbanization alone do not explain why congestion remains unmanaged, because we are also investing in infrastructure, so that alone does not explain. So so there is a need to explore the role of governance of the urban transport system, and that is what this paper is all about. And therefore the aim was to examine how fragmented institutional responsibility affect urban transport governance and therefore contribute to the chronic congestion in Dar es Salaam. And the methodology adopted is not a cause and effect information and data collection, etc. It's a qualitative policy analysis approach based on a 4-step logical framework. So first I went through literature to establish the context of commonly cited congestion that I've just presented, and then institutional analysis of all policies, legislation, and statutory mandates related to urban transport. The aim was to identify overlaps, conflicts, and gaps, And then I carried out an analysis of operational manifestations that linking institutional weaknesses directly to what is happening on the road in terms of congestion, so as to actually draw evidence that actually it is the institutional shortcomings are the problem, are a major part of the problem. And lastly, I review international and African-based practices which would support the idea that actually institutional arrangement needs to be taken care of in order to address congestion, and also to support the development of recommendation. So let me take you through the evidences of how governance challenges explain the chronic congestion. And again, I will use a logical flow analysis, qualitative, not a cause and effect. First of all, I carried out a mapping of mandates to expose the governance gap. Now, if you look at it there, you will see road infrastructure, where the function is the responsibility of TANROADS and TARURA, but of course they focus on physical construction and maintenance, and therefore actually do very little about traffic management. And then public transport and regulation is divided between that and LATRA. So the function is, the responsibility is split, but that does not have responsibility over overall public transport. It doesn't have responsibility over daladala. So the management effect is limited, and neither of the two agencies actually manage traffic flow, and therefore they cannot have any effect on traffic flow. Traffic enforcement is done by the traffic police, and during peak hours they carry out manual intersection override, and therefore they have very little time left for enforcement, and therefore actually exacerbate chaos on the road. On street parking and land use is under local government authorities, but actually it is revenue generation focus, and does little or consider little on corridor capacity. Now, the key issue of traffic management and network-wide signal synchronization, the responsible agency is missing. No agency is responsible for traffic management for the city, actually, none. So signal act as isolated nodes across the network, and there is not even an integrated traffic management system. Now, which agency is responsible for minimizing urban congestion? None. Zero. No agency is accountable for congestion outcome, and this is a massive gap that actually this paper is trying to address. So what actually then, what are the evidences on the road? So what we see on the road. So what we see on the road. What? Sorry. So what we see on the road is there is no network-wide traffic. Oh, should I use? This one did run out of. So there is no network-wide traffic management. Agencies focus on their assets, for example, TANROADS building roads, local government parking, but no one is evaluating corridor level impact, and that is what we see happening because of the institutional shortfall. And then we have poor coordination of traffic signal. Of course, signals are treated as isolated nodes, not synchronized, and we see this, our signals are not synchronized. So again, we don't have effective traffic management over the city. We have weak data systems and reactive management. There is no centralized urban traffic control center, and data is trapped in agency silos. Each agency has its own data, and therefore we are forced to resort to reactive management to daily crisis, and that is why we have manual police control, which is a reactive control rather than a proactive control. That is evidence. We have weak demand management. Actually, initiatives such high occupancy vehicle lanes, parking pricing, etc., are impossible to implement because we don't have a central agency. So that is why actually we don't have demand management. And of course, we don't have high impact operational measures like signal coordination, ITS, integrated traffic management system. Why? Because we are infrastructure focused. So there are no funds left for these high impact operational measures. Lastly, let's look at constrained multi-sector projects. You can see that projects which requires multi-sectors or institution cannot be implemented And therefore, that is why, for example, the 2008 Dar es Salaam Urban Transport Master Plan was not implemented because actually, if you want to implement a multi-sector project, you need a central coordinating authority that is missing. So the master plan called for establishment of a Dar es Salaam Urban Transport Authority. It didn't happen. Construction of some ring roads, which did not happen because we lacked a central coordinating authority. So the fundamental issue is here, there is accountability deficit. Zero agency is held accountable for congestion. For example, if you ask me, who is responsible for congestion in Dar es Salaam, you can hardly say who. Zero. So metrics such as travel time and delay, average speed, congestion indices are completely missing from institutional performance evaluation. If you go to all these institutions, ask them for this data, none is collecting because no one is responsible for this. And the performance audit of urban transport carried out by the CAG in 2026 documented that public funds are disbursed based on construction rather than traffic performance or delay. And because of this also, because we don't have any agency responsible or accountable for congestion, then actually we can't carry out even traffic impact assessment. So we have large commercial developments such as malls, inland container depots, constructed without traffic impact assessment, and they spew all the traffic into the arterials and exacerbate congestion. So a dedicated urban transport authority would enforce these requirements and integrate land use planning and with transport. Oops. What happened? Okay. So let me take you through international literature and best African practice. First, what does it say? That effective congestion management relies on integrating three things: spatial planning, traffic management, and public transport under a single entity. Now, I can't go through all of them, but I went through Transport for London, Dubai Road Transport Authority, Singapore Land Transport Authority, City of Cape Town, and City of Kigali. They all integrate all those three under a single entity. I included Lagos, Lamata, but this is a shared model where Lamata and LASMA share the responsibilities, where Lamata is responsible for public transport and LASMA is responsible for traffic management. Now I included this to show that even partial institutional integration yields significant improvements. Now look at the case for Dar es Salaam. We have like 10 dispersed entities if I include the ministries, and they are fragmented and coordinated and they lack a single operational leadership. So to conclude, the conclusion here, we need better governance. Without better governance for urban transport, there is little we can do about congestion and the traffic management in the city. So infrastructure alone without centralized traffic management cannot solve congestion problem. And the flyover, you see them, and the BRT corridors there in the photo will remain islands of efficiency in a sea of urban chaos. And we need a paradigm shift that we need to pivot from more money for roads to better governance for roads. So establishing a unified governance is not optional now. It is a prerequisite for sustaining the city's vitality. Now, before I close with the recommendation, let me take you through evolution. We're not saying that nothing has been done. Attempts have been made before in improving the governance, and it started in 2008 with the JICA master plan, which first proposed the establishment of Dar es Salaam Urban Transport Authority, which subsequently was backed by the World Bank in 2017, also backed it. And JICA, when they came to update the master plan in 2018 again, they reaffirmed that we need to establish a Dar es Salaam Urban Transport Authority. Now, in 2018, there was an attempt to establish it, but then there was a jurisdictional bottleneck where it was found that actually the local government authority, under which DUTA should be, does not they have the mandate to establish transport entities. So now that is not a problem anymore, because when they were establishing Tarura, they were given that mandate. But in 2021 now, there was a different development where that proposed to establish a national body, not a Dar es Salaam body, which is against best practice and with the potential for overlap with LATRA. So I know the arguments, but in the interest of time, I don't have time to explain it. But actually, it's against best practice, so it's not one of my recommendations. And in 2026, now in the now audit again, the CAG actually asserted that the current framework for managing urban transport does not enable effective management of urban transport. So we need to do something. Now, what is the recommendation here? There is an urgent priority. We need to establish the Dar es Salaam Urban Transport Authority. The best option is to restructure and expand the mandate of that to include city-wide traffic operation and all other modes, including freight and public transport, as a first step. And then the second and third step can be done concurrently, where we could establish an urban traffic control and introduce demand management, and then expand later on to create an integrated data system in order to enable evidence-based traffic control. So when you are saying establish a single entity, somebody would say, well, the city is not going to forsake parking. So-and-so is not going to forsake parking. But what we are saying is that authority is not going to take parking from the city, but it will have the overall responsibility. If you want to establish parking, they would be able to tell you, no, you can't, because it will create congestion. If you want to use the road reserve, they will say no. If you want to construct an ICD, they will carry out a traffic impact assessment and say no. And this is the best practice all over the world. And let me wind my presentation. I know I've run over time, but my student can tell me. So thank you for your attention. I look forward to your contributions and will be happy to provide any further clarification during the discussion session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. You can have a seat and then we'll be engaged in Q&A later. So the next presentation comes to us with one of the NIT master's students, Engineer Gilbert Mollel, who is also a tutorial assistant in the Department of Automotive Engineering at Arusha Technical College. So Mr. Mollel, you have 12 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Gilbert Mollel, tutorial assistant at Arusha Technical College, Department of Automotive Engineering. My supervisor is Dr. Nuru N. Kitara, Department of Safety and Environmental Engineering at the National Institute of Transport. Our research title paper is Design a Laboratory Evaluation of a Real-Time On-Board Loading Monitoring Prototype for Heavy Truck Overload Prevention. Implication for road and environmental sustainability in Tanzania. Introduction. Background information and research gap. Heavy truck loading accelerate pavement deterioration and increase stress on vehicle component. There is two things which we were dealing on this paper. The first is deterioration of the road, and another is the increase of stress on the vehicle component, such as the engine, gearbox, brake system, and other mechanical components. As we know, when the vehicle is designed to carry a certain mass. If we increase the mass, some mechanical problem may occur, such as wear and tears. Conventional static weighing bridge measures vehicle only it is at a certain point. Example, in northern region, there is a weighing bridging at Makuyuni, there is weighing bridging at Himo. So how we can monitor the vehicle which is from Makuyuni to Himo, who is monitor the vehicle between, how amount of the load which is carried. The study focused on existing weight bridging technology and the different type of load cell sensors, which emphasize on their suitability for vehicle weight monitoring. So we were studying about the different lectures, literature reviews on the types of weight bridge. The first weight bridge is semi-pit weight bridge, which is a metal type installed on the ground of the road. Another weight bridging is pit weight bridge, which is at the same level with the road surface. There is a pit which the weight bridging is installed, so it is flush with the road surface. Another is multi-desk. Multi-desk is measure the axle load independently at the same time, rear and front. But this pit weight bridge is measure axle load at the point. Maybe now it is measure the front wheel axle load. After passing, it is measure rear axle load. So this it bring the cheating between the conductors and the bridge operators. Sometimes, let's assume the vehicle is coming from Arusha to Dar es Salaam, or from the Himo to Dar es Salaam. After the passing at the Himo, there is some passengers who can enter on the buses, and who may monitor that passengers. Sometimes the passengers, they stand, they cannot get a seat. And when the operators measure the axle load, the passengers shift. If passengers don't, so it brings the cheating on the turn road officers. On our title, the first we start with literature review. Second, we select a sensor which is suitable to measure the axle load, which is the strain gauge. We were perform the electronic designing and simulation, mechanical designing and fabrication, and some electronic circuit wiring. After that, we will go to install on the vehicle. Now it's laboratory testing. This is a prototype architecture. The first we have the LCD, which gives the amount of the mass and the status of the vehicle. The second there is a two LED. First is red LED, the second is the green LED. If the load is normal, the green LED is flashing. If it is overloading, the red LED is flashing. And the display will give the amount of that mass. This part is the load cell sensor. There is the amplifier, because the load cell produces small signals. So we want to amplify that signals. And that part is microcontroller, which is control all of our electronic system. This is the laboratory testing and mechanical design. The mechanical design we were designed by using a SolidWorks software. That is a bracket which will be installed to the axle load. The first upper anchor is going to install it on the cross member. And the second is going to install at the differential unit. So when the suspension compress, there is a programming language we can use to the microcontroller to give that position now is either 100. So we program it. And at the upper, there is a signals by using an oscilloscope, electronic signals. The first is normal load. If there is a normal load, you can see the line is straight. And there is no any noises. When you're talking about the noises, is amplitude. There is no amplitude. The second is under normal load. You can see a square wave, 0 to 5, and then that is a signal from the microcontroller. That is a overload. And this is a device which we were used to conduct a laboratory test, which is the Texa Uniprobe. The Texa Uniprobe can perform different testing. Example, it works as a multimeter. Also, it works as a oscilloscope. There is a channel there. And that is have the software which is called the MSS. So through the software, we can know the signals. Okay, this is the result and the discussion. The first is the sensor output characterization. The output of the sensor is linear. It shows the linearity. The load is increased with the direct proportion to the voltage. At 0 voltage, at 0 load, you can see the output voltage from the load cell is 0. When there is 5, is 0.1. But this is millivoltage. We can't measure it by using a normal multimeter. We need a oscilloscope. We need a uniprobe. We set in the position of voltage measurement. Another testing is calibration accuracy. We will take the load of 0. When the load is 0, the mass, the measured mass at the display also is 0. When there is a 20 kilogram, it display 19.95. So there is a little error there. So that is the error testing on calibration. Also, we perform the sensitivity, hysteresis, and repeatability. Sensitivity, we try to check the little amount of mass which our load cell can measure. We take a 1 kilogram. It is display 1 kilogram on the display. Hysteresis, also we check hysteresis. We put the load, then we unload it. And we check the characteristics of this load cell. It is working effectively. Also, there is a repeatability. We give 50 kilogram and we reduce. We take out. We put it again and we take it out. At 10 times, it appear 49.9. So the output is okay. So this is a overload characterization. We program it. When the mass is 20, LED green, blink green, but red is off. Status is normal, and the buzzer is off. But we will put the mass of 110 as overload, according to the programming. But we can program as we want. Yeah, okay. Environmental relevant. We know that overloading can cause fuel consumption. When the vehicle carry a mass which is maximum, we know the fuel consumption will be greater according to engine dynamometer test. We can test the volumetric efficiency of the engine. In the dynamometer test, we give the mass to the engine and we can check how amount of fuel can be used. Also, it can increase the exhaust emission, increase mechanical component wear. Example, in the brake, sometimes we as the passengers on the bus, if sometimes bus or trucks overload, the smell of the asbestos material, we can feel it. Also the clutch, you can feel the smell of the clutch and the brake. And some manufacturers, they put retarders. But how, when the driver is going to the slope or steep and use the retarder and the load is maximum, sometimes the vehicle will fail and cause accident. Okay, this is discussion and the sustainability implication. On the 10 repetition, we can see, according to ISO, our system is working effectively. RSCC, according to OIML, the system is okay. On oscilloscope testing, there is a stability signals. Noises, no noises, and the response load change is effectively. Also, we selected the structure, which is steel. Type of steel is A36, is working properly. Okay, vehicle overloading increased fuel consumption, emission in the component wear. Our conclusion is system validation results have verified that the load cell overloading monitoring system functioning accordingly. Our recommendation is, it is proposed that with adequate support, various government authorities like TANROADS, ZANROADS, TARURA, and the fleet operators may use this system. This is priority future research opportunity, full-scale installation and validation on the heavy truck. Installation of the system on the different track configuration and calibration it against certified static way bridges. I think here there is some regulatory who may validate or who may collaborate with them to make sure this system is working properly. Example, WMA, Weigh Measures Agents. Also, there is TBS, fuel consumption and emission assessment. This we will check by using the exhaust emission system to know if the vehicle is loading and is overloading, how they are in terms of emission and fuel consumption. But in the engine dynamometer, it gives us some result because we know in the engine, when the mass is increased, the volumetric efficiency also will increase. Non-emission, exhaust emission in the component wear. This is, we know, when the load is greater, emission also will be greater. And sometimes temperature also will be high. And if the car or heavy truck have noticed a system of EGR, exhaust gas recycling, it can pollute our environment. I will thank you for listening and your attention.
Thank you so much, Molly. You can take a seat. Thank you so much for the presentation. The next presenter, I have a privilege of welcoming Ms. Kanyamale, who teaches and does research at the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences at NIT. A lawyer by profession. She's currently a PhD student specializing in international human rights law. And today, she's bringing us some insights from Kenya on how to address the issue that we have in safety with commercial motorcycles. So without any further ado, please welcome Ms. Kanyamale.
Thank you, and with all due respect, good afternoon, all of you. So, as a point of correction, I'm not Ms. Kanyamale, I'm Ms. Teresia Mate-Sawaya, but the paper has been co-authored by Dr. Rehema Bosco Kaunda and Ms. Lusajo Peter Kanyamale. So, as we have been introduced, we come from the Department of Humanities and Social Science at NIT. So our paper is titled Enhancing Road Safety in Tanzania through Regulation of Commercial Motorcycles, and the paper has drawn legal and policy insights from our neighboring jurisdiction, which is Kenya. So before going further, let us ask the question whether commercial motorcycles matters. Do they matter? So for us who are living in Tanzania, most specifically in Dar es Salaam, we don't need a study to recognize the importance of commercial motorcycles. As far as mobility is concerned, they are a very key component to both urban and rural mobility. They are relatively affordable, they are accessible, and particularly where the traditional public transport cannot be reached quickly. So as far as livelihood is concerned, commercial motorcycles provides opportunity for employment. A lot of youth have engaged in riding these commercial motorcycles as a source of employment. And even if we evaluate the value chain of commercial motorcycle operation, we can find other entrepreneurs like Mamantilis who establishes their business along the border spots in order to generate income. So it is undisputed fact that they are important. But we have empirical data which evidence the same. This was conducted by LATRA on socio-economic impact of commercial motorcycles and tricycles in Tanzania mainland. And the figures, as you see, 68% was reported to pay school fees for their dependents with the income generated from commercial motorcycles. Then we have 42% who reported having income stability because of operating motorcycles. Others started their side business with money, and the others, they own their own motorcycles. 33% own their own motorcycles from the income which was generated from commercial motorcycle operation. So they are important, yes they are, but they also raise safety concerns relating to crashes, injuries, accidents, fatalities, compliance issues, enforcement issues, etc., etc., etc. We also borrowed the empirical data from different reports, which shows the safety burden which commercial motorcycles put beyond their, despite their benefits. So you can see the fatalities, 378 fatalities from January to December 2024. They were reported to be related with motorcycles operations. Then 60% of traumas, monthly admitted traumas at Muhimbili Orthopedic Institute, MON, they have been reported that they do relate to motorcycles. Then all road accidents, 97 of all road accidents, they were reported to be related with human error, including negligence, reckless driving, overspeeding, etc., etc. Motorcycles and tricycles being there. So, what motivated us to conduct this study? The problem is not that we don't have law. It is not a regulatory vacuum. No. Laws are there. Institutions are there. Policies are there. But the question is, are these laws more coherent enough? Are these laws specific enough to regulate commercial motorcycle activities in specific? Are the institutions having mandated to regulate the transport sector see motorcycle operation as a special angle to be professionalized for safety, road safety issues? So the problem comes as the legal or the policy and the legal instruments, they are distributed across different pieces of legislations in Tanzania. We have a number of laws, but these laws are not harmonized. They are not coherent enough. We don't need more laws, but we need to coordinate all these laws into specificity, to look into motorcycle operation as a matter of safety concern. So that is the problem which motivated our study. So we had several objectives. Number one was to analyze Tanzania legal and policy framework which govern specifically commercial motorcycles. Number two, we want to address the question as to how Tanzania's approach can be compared with that of Kenya, because Kenya has relatively more structured regulatory framework regulating commercial motorcycles. The study also sought to identify regulatory gaps and also draw lessons that Tanzania can adapt, and also it sought to propose for reforms for improved road safety outcome. So methodologically, the study adapted a qualitative legal research, and more specifically, it was doctrinal legal research methodology upon which pieces of legislation, policies, and institutions were analyzed as the primary data, while drawing and analyzing different articles, textbooks as secondary data. The doctrinal methodology was also complemented by comparative legal research methodology, whereby Tanzania was compared or benchmarked in practice with Kenya in order to identify existing regulatory gaps. So the combination of the findings led us to identification of gaps and lessons which we learned for reform direction. So let's go to the overview. The overview of the legal framework governing commercial motorcycles in Tanzania. As I said before, the problem is not a regulatory vacuum. We do have a number of laws. To mention just a few, we have the Road Traffic Act. We have the Motor Vehicle Tax on Registration and Transfer. We have the transport licensing motorcycles and tricycles. These were regulations of 2010. We have the LATRA Act, and currently we have LATRA Private Hire Services Regulations of 2020. So let's go to the specific regulations which now regulate commercial motorcycles in Tanzania and how they evolved. So back in 2010, we had these regulations which were made under the Transport Licensing Act. They were called Transport Licensing Motor Vehicles and Tricycles Regulations, which were further amended in 2017. But in 2019, LATRA was established as a regulatory authority as far as land transport is concerned. So in 2020, LATRA enacted their own regulations, which they call them LATRA Private Hire Services Regulations, Government Note number 78 of 2020. These regulations have been further being amended in 2021, 2023, and this year, 2026. So currently, what regulates commercial motorcycles in Tanzania is the private hire services regulations. That is what we are having now. So what do we learn from this evolution? We learn that the regulatory framework governing commercial motorcycles in Tanzania is not static. It is dynamic. It is changing. That is very good. Well and good. It is changing in order to respond to the development in transport sector. The 2023 amendments and 2026 incorporated some of the things or requirement for compliance as far as ride hailing is concerned. Bolt, Uber, we use them every day. And corporate compliance and other fair rates regulations. Therefore, the crucial legal finding is that laws are there, safety standards are there. For instance, the 2020 regulation provide for a number of requirements. You can see roadworthiness, passenger capacity carrying, no mishikaki. It is forbidden by the law. But what is the practice out there? We can observe, even by observation, we can observe how commercial motorcycles do behave. 2 coded elements. Yes, elements, and they are supposed to be coded ones. We can observe. Then valid driving license, regular speeding. The regular speeding has been provided for under the Road Traffic Act, not under the regulations. They are supposed to wear uniform. We do have other compliance standards as far as helmets and other safety gears to be of that standard as TBS. We have a lot of inspection and also other enforcement measures, including suspension, penalties, and even revocation of license. But that is not the practice out there. We have borrowed empirical data from LATRA reports, which shows non-compliance of what the law has provided. 36% of border riders, motorcycle riders, they don't abide with the requirement of wearing helmets. This is the report from LATRA, which was conducted in 2024. Then we do have overspeeding, 64%. They overspeed, while other 53%, they are not even aware whether there is a requirement to comply with speeding. That is as far as vehicles are concerned, not commercial motorcycles. They are not aware of that. As far as license is concerned, only 27% were found having valid license, not even commercial license, a valid license. What does that implicate? When a person is licensed to ride a motorcycle, that means he has gone through an extensive training, testing, then be licensed to operate. So if we are having only 27% having valid license, that means we do have this huge informal, unregulated sector upon which a person can wake up one day, does not know how to ride a motorcycle, and tomorrow he knows how to ride a motorcycle and out on the road. That raise a lot of safety concerns. So we have seen the regulatory framework as far as Tanzania is concerned. Now let's go on to the overview. What is the practice in Kenya? And why do we say that Kenya has a relatively more structured regulatory framework? So our study, a point to note, our study does not suggest that Kenya is a perfect model. No, it is not a perfect model. They also face a lot of compliance and enforcement issues, but they do have a relatively more structured framework. So they do have a Traffic Act which lays a general foundation as far as road safety is concerned, but they also have the National Transport and Safety Authority Act, which now establishes a central regulatory authority. So the point of difference is that we do have LATRA, responsible for land transport. But Kenya, they do have the National Transport and Safety Authority, which has been centralized. And under National Transport and Safety Authority, they have enacted regulations specifically for motorcycles operators. Specifically for motorcycles operators, not private hires under one basket. So that's the point to note. Why are we saying that Kenya has a more structured regulatory authority? Then going forward, they are looking to propose tracking devices for borders for motorcycles. So this is a bill which has been tabled. It is yet to become a law, but you can see our neighboring countries are going forward. They also have integrated data. So a more structured institutional architecture that have explained. They have a specific regulatory attention to motorcycle operators only. To them, training and licensing is a requirement. They do have even minimum age for riding a commercial motorcycle, which is 21 years. And before you be licensed for commercial motorcycle, you must have an experience of at least 1 year of riding a motorcycle, a normal motorcycle. So they also have a strong integrated digital information system through transport integrated management system. So what we are saying is that Tanzania can learn, it can adapt, not even adopt, and localize the clarity, coordination, professionalization, safety, data integration, and accountability. Because of time, I will rush. We have, these are the key findings together with what should be done. So as far as Tanzania is concerned, we have a broad layered framework. Therefore, we can opt to clarify, not to enact more laws. No. The same existing legal framework can be clarified, it can be harmonized, consolidated in order to address commercial motorcycle specifically. So as far as coordination of institutions, you know, commercial motorcycles in Tanzania is regulated with many actors. We have TRA in place, we have LATRA in place, we have the local government in place. So we have these actors, multiple actors, but they do have overlapping mandates. they are not coordinated enough. So we can adapt what Kenya has done and introduce a centralized institution. We have compliance and enforcement gaps as far as training. So we can opt for more preventive measures like extensive training. We do have NIT. Then we can opt for rider awareness, even legal awareness, then compliance issues, etc., etc. With the weak digital data integration, yes, TRA has taxpayer portal, LATRA has also its own portal. When it comes to traffic police, who are enforcers, they do have their own portal. Yes, it is digital, but they are not integrated enough. So what the traffic police will do, it's only to look if this rider has fines or whatever. But as far as permit and license is concerned, he cannot access the LATRA portal. So it's high time now we adapt from Kenya, having one integrated management system for evidence-based monitoring and enforcement. So we also need stakeholders' voice in order to comprehend the voluntary compliance. When we do have participation of riders of association, even the community, and we have a law tabled in place, it will make it easier for voluntary compliance. So as a conclusion, we say safe commercial motorcycle transport, it requires coherent laws, coordinated institutions, professionalized operation, clear and safety standard, integrated data, and stakeholders participation. So our paper contributes so much to the theme of the conference. When we integrate our data, we'll move toward commercial motorcycles, which are very smart. Then integrated institution will reduce overlapping mandates and fragmentation, hence integrated transport, and training, professionalization will lead into resilient transport. So we conclude by saying that safer motorcycle operation supports smarter, more integrated, and more resilient system. With those remarks, thank you for listening. I do submit.
Thank you so much. Please have a seat. What a wonderful presentation. So the last presentation for this afternoon comes to us from Mr. Marwa Chacha Magoti, who is a safety expert from the Ministry of Transport. Mr. Marwa Chacha Magoti has a master's degree from Hasselt University in Belgium, and he's continuing with his PhD studies at the same institution. He's going to bring this presentation today online. So our online team, if you can get him on the podium, we'll appreciate. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. Do you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Thank you for your introduction. And unfortunately, I was want to be in person, but based on my topic and my obligation, it was difficult. But for the purpose of this theme and my title, I there that it is a part of my presentation that a digital road safety refreshers training for professional drivers, a pilot started in Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. As you have already said, Marwa Chacha, the institute which it is from Hasselt University in Belgium, and also I work in Ministry of Transport. So let us go. Can you continue with the I want, sorry, just a moment. Yes, it's okay now. Yeah, as I already introduced you, the title of my work is a main part of a project. We want to know how to reduce road accidents in aspect of training. As we know that commercial drivers sustain passengers and mobility and freight movement as a core function of government and society, as we know, all of us. The challenge of this commercial driver, we know always that they take a long time. As you see the map here, you find all of them, the trucks and buses, they can come from Kigoma to Dar es Salaam. It takes a long time. They can talk from Arusha to Tunduma, which is far, but they save purpose of mobility. So we found that although they give us a positive impact, but they suffer with fatigue, night walk, mixed traffic, and it creates the continuation of exposure to accidents. So through that, we have to have more techniques which will be updated. So using the training measures through safer vehicles, supervision, and enforcement. The police issues also is concerned because we are shifting now. We suggest to have a digital tech through driving, commercial drivers. Let us also see the professional driver safety. As we know that, as I have already said, that the safer fatigue, long working, time pressure, night driving, and complexity for traffic involvement, it requires training. It requires more multi-event of intervention, but for sake of time of today, is based on training. In Tanzania and the low middle income country, we use the refresher course through using men in classroom based, creating time, and we know the factor of classroom that it requires time, distance, and the cost barrier. That make us sure there's driver from Kigoma. He required to want to get training to NIT in Dar es Salaam. So it's the longest distance. So it is a demanding. So we think that the digital training, it offers flexibility, safe space, accessible, and tracking learning. So through that, the study shows that they have limited evidence from sub-Saharan African on digital refresher training for professional drivers. The existing study mainly assess the participation, certification, knowledge within the limited evidence on behavior outcomes. The few studies combine platform data, module assessment, baseline, follow-up, or a survey, and a comparison group based on digital training. The key issue here is, does digital refresher training translate to improve the road safety knowledge and the safety driver behavior? When we answer this, it gives us the condition to give the government advice or any other stakeholder. How we do this, we set a design with the two groups, the control group and the intervention group. We use the baseline, the survey for both groups. We are 120 professional driver bus and the truck. And we use the device, the control group and the intervention group. We use the baseline, the survey for both groups. We are 120. We get also efficiency to know there's the driver, are they ready to transfer from the classroom based to digital, and what is the complication, what the their device, the system should look like. Let us see the result from that option. This is the intervention platform, how it was look like. That we create, we assign, we learn, we create a quiz and a review, and then we improve based on the input from those drivers. So the key, the tool was having web-based and also app-based. App-based was for drivers, and while the web-based was for trainers. So we had 2 trainers as experts. One of them was me, and the other from NIT, Mr. Mtatiro, as you see on our conversation. So what was the demographic of this driver? We found the age, you could see here. Most of them were dominated age because we classify from, we found this driver from NIT during their classwork, the regular classwork. We category 1 group, and then we divided 60 students for comparison, and 60 drivers for intervention group. Education, you could see here. In case of time, I cannot go in thoroughly because you could see yourself. We asked them, we want to know about whether they have already having the training before. So we found that most of them were getting NIT training, VETA, private, and also we asked them if within their employee base they have the tendency of having refreshers training within their institution. So we found some of them they have that capacity. These are baseline results. We found that during the baseline results that the willingness of using the reuse of training, like using the digital tech, was high, like 91%.
Mr. Magoti, please,
yes.
Your slides are not moving. We are still on the slide that shows methodology. And you have about 6 minutes left.
I'm now in baseline digital. For me, it's moving. I don't know what should I do. How can I manage? Can I continue because now I'm the result of comparison between demographic.
Yes, please continue.
Yes, demographic, it shows that when you compare the group of characteristic of those who want the behavior of the driver in baseline, you found that the control group, they are varying based on the event. While those who using phone before, the control group was high. Those who having a crash, you found that the intervention group was high. When you see here, there's the blue color and the dark blue. So the dark blue is the one which shows the intervention part. Then we found that when we did this implementation evidence, we found we had, as I told you, that we had 8 modules. During the performance, we found that the course which they passed, we set a mark that 70% it will be a pass, and below 70 mark will be the failure. So we found that the pre-trip inspection, we found that most of them they passed it. Night driver course, they passed a lot. But traffic rules, we found that it has the lower score. Then we asked them the preference, what they prefer. Then during the intervention, we found that they say that they perceive usiness is easy and is strong. They can use it. The delivery environment is good. They say it's fit for further. If we could having another follow-up, we could use it. And the challenge which we found that the internet data cost is high. So that is one of challenge of digital tech. Technical support, sometimes it requires technical support. That's why sometimes we use WhatsApp for helping them to show where they get the stuck. We use the WhatsApp to help them to break that challenge. The evidence that supports this, when we compare the outcome of this intervention, we found that it is still not strong, the behavior change, because it takes short time. It was only 1 month. But the preference of this driver was to use a normal language like Swahili, and we have the tool which use the low data, and the short module should not be longer, and the validation of this tool should be undergo with their opinions. The finding which we get here is that it's the feasibility of finding it could be save the purpose, especially in Tanzania, to have the digital training, which could improve the training. Based on the previous study, especially Ethiopia, they have done this similar study. The acceptance through them is higher. Like acceptance of using this usability is higher compared with it's similar with our study. Digital skill still in need because most of them they use a smartphone, and they see that it seems like WhatsApp. If you make it like a small social media on a way of transmit the knowledge, they can understand well, and they can repeat on understanding those training. Through that, because behavior change, it takes time, they can undergo the transformation and improve the safety. I will say that the digital training, it supports, is a support component of safer system, and it brings impact on employer services, supervisors, because they can get the feedback from their student or their employee during the training. They also, if we could have a good training of fatigue management, risk management, it could improve the road safety through the commercial driver, especially truck and the buses. Based on time implication of this start, it strengthens the traffic. When we could have strengthened the traffic laws during the module, it could provide with having the really scenario which they are doing every day, it can improve the safety. Priority of like using the normal local language like Swahili and micro learning is more needed for sustainability of this start. So the call is we have to use this, or we have to have more training or more pilot start, so that we could see how we can make a scalability of digital training for all commercial drivers. I had in my past, they say about the motorcycle, also it can fit through the digital training, which is effective and costless. The limitation of this study, we found that it has, we take a small group and a small location which were accumulated. So we think that future coming, we have to have randomized, and we take very careful matching with the age, matching with the education, so that we could get a result which have the same measures. The telematics would be complemented within the digital training as a practical examinations of examine the theory from digital training, and the practical way should be using this innovative technology like telematics, so that we can combine and get the result of competent drivers. In conclusion, that the feasible platform behavior effective remain unimproved, as I said, that because it's a short time, but local adaptation by using a mobile platform can deliver structured refresher training, produce usable participation records, and identifies topics specific in learning deficit. The pilot does not show the superior short-term knowledge, behavior, and the crash reduction effect compared to the comparison group. In concluding that, the preceding intervention refined and a large objective outcome can be evaluated if NIT, I concur, like NIT or VETA, they can extend this training, this pilot, so that we could get more finding and to become reality, as we know that the world is becoming on digital everywhere. So we have to shift it from classroom to through refreshers course to digital training. Thank you for listening. Thank you again for welcoming me to this important issue of conference.
Thank you so much, Mr. Magoti. Thank you so much, and sorry for the slides not moving. So now we only have a few minutes. So we have the QR code. If you can scan and send your question, we'll allow a few questions and then we'll close for the day. So I'll give you like 30 seconds to see if any questions come through the code, and then we will go ahead and address those questions. As we're waiting for those questions, I have a question for Professor Mfinanga. It's interesting that he mentioned about that ITS system and the traffic management center that they are planning. I wonder if there's any data anywhere that academicians can use so that they can start to learn how to compute the metrics, how to do data analytics as far as ITS is concerned. I remember 2018, I was involved in creating the ITS framework for DART. We were supposed to have a traffic management center. As a matter of fact, each one of these DART stations was supposed to have CCTV cameras, and they are designed in the system. We're supposed to have a fiber optic network that will carry the data. But at the moment, is there any real-time data that is streaming that transportation engineers can use?
Thank you for the question. What I know is that is now constructing a traffic control center, basically for the corridors, initially for the corridors, BRT corridor. Of course, it can be scaled throughout the city, but initially it is for the BRT corridor. It hasn't started working, it's still under construction, so as far as I know, they don't have any data to be used unless it was collected manually, I think.
Thank you so much. Any questions coming through? Let's go ahead and scan one. So as we're waiting for us to scan the QR, the next question goes to Mr. Magoti. I know it's good to have online refresher courses and online training, but nowadays it's very easy for people to cheat. Maybe somebody to do a course on behalf of their friends or relatives. Are there any safeguards that ensures that the person who is doing the refresher course is an actual person who is supposed to be certified? Question to Mr. Magoti.
Our methodology, we found that I told you before that during the intervention we have that after doing the theory, we have to have the classrooms, especially, for instance, laterals, they have the special rooms for making examination. So NIT should have the rooms for making the in-person training. We could use the digital ways, like how I speak here, then we could make it more we could make it more secured. And the other option is that the telematics is the one which gives us the feedback that if the vehicles which we use, like I told you, for commercial vehicles like passengers, we have now having this telematics device within the vehicles. So we could measure the impact through, if they understand well, through using those behavior which they are doing on their vehicle, the practical way. So if they fail, we know that this guy is cheating or you don't know what he's doing. So we could have another intervention method. Thank you. And we also allow other participants to give us the overview because it is initial stage. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Magoti. We have a few questions that go to Madam Teresa. So the first question is, what is your opinion, the government, concerning legal knowledge to commercial motorcycles and tricycles? That's number one. Number two, helmet use was affected first by COVID, and today it is quite unhygienic to wear dirty and smelly helmets due to fear of infection. What should be done? And lastly, for commercial motorcycles, would dedicated lanes be part of the solution? For motorcycles, would dedicated lanes for motorcycles be part of the solution?
So, as far as legal knowledge of So the legal knowledge to commercial motorcycle operators is a challenging. It is a challenging, and it is one among the area which now leads into the enforcement and compliance gap, because most of them, they don't even know if the laws do exist. And why that is because the sector is viewed as like a minor transport activity, which it is informally, and no legal awareness has been invested into motorcycle operators. So it is high time now to venture into that area and raise legal awareness, not only legal awareness and other safety issues awareness as far as these riders are concerned. Question number 2 on the issue of helmet. I do agree that during COVID-19, many safety health issues arise, but we cannot compromise the safety issues because of the tragedy. What we do as policymakers, if we do have a tragedy, is to enact other regulations in order to cover for that certain period. So, and during COVID-19, we had COVID-19 Act in order to address issues of healthy and safety. So COVID-19 is not here. So we can invest in awareness and professionalize this sector. That is most important. You know, boda boda now are viewed as a minor isolated transport activity. But if we venture into formalizing it and making it more professional, a boda cannot afford to lose a customer because he is having dirty element. So that is an area we can also venture for other other research in order to address that issue.
We have a few questions that are addressed to Professor Mfinanga. The first one is, why has the government failed since earlier in monitoring these private bus terminals in Manzese and Magomeni? The next question to Professor Mfinanga is, what specific roles and responsibilities will DUTA have beyond congestion management, and who will chair the authority? Police, TOs, or politician? And then we have another question for Professor Mfinanga. Congestion in Dar is caused by ICD and private buses which are owned by big fishes who are rich and strong economically. What would we do? And then we have the last one. Despite all studies and efforts, nothing seems to be working to decongest the city. What extra effort should be done to force the paradigm change?
Thank you, Chair. The private bus terminals, I think he's referring to the current initiative by the Regional Commissioner and the District Commissioner of Ubungo in forcing buses to enter the Ubungo bus terminal for long distance buses. I'm not very sure. I haven't done much research in this area because it is contributing towards congestion, but it's not an urban transport issue per se. It's in relation to long distance buses. But all I can say, as I said, this is a reactive approach. It's not a proactive approach, solving a crisis, and it's isolated. So without an integrated approach where we will have a single governance organ overlooking urban transport in general, well, it will have minimal impact, not optimal. That's all I can say. About DUTA responsibilities, I said, it will have the oversight for traffic management of the whole city. Nobody's doing that. But at the same time, also public transport. In so doing, and partly take part in planning of city activities. So in doing so, it will be able to manage traffic congestion in the city. And this has been demonstrated by most best practices that I've highlighted in my presentation. Again, someone is saying that whatever is owned by big shots, I think if we have an institution and we are determined for it to work, because everybody now is concerned about the increasing congestion, and it's an economic loss, but it is a social chaos. It is now starting to drive away investors, because no investor wants to invest in a congested city. So I'm not sure about the big shots you're talking about, but I think my belief is there is a gap. If you don't have a governance organ, then actually even starting is difficult. Now, if you have a governance organ, then you can start actually trying to see how to go about to take care of those who are trying to go around the required regulations and enforcements. It's like if you are sleeping and you are bitten by a mosquito, if you keep complaining, it's not helping. If you have a mosquito net, it will help. And then you can start talking about now the mosquito net has a hole here, I can feel it, etc., etc. But if you don't have a governance structure, then it's like, somebody who's complaining about mosquitoes and doesn't even think about a mosquito net. All studies, nothing works. I think, first of all, congestion in major cities is an issue in most countries. But the difference is the level of congestion and the chaos that is accepted. And another measure is whether it is getting worse or it's getting better. Now, when it starts getting worse, then there is a more serious problem, and that is where we are, and we should be concerned. So I wouldn't say that nothing works. A lot of things would work, but again, what is the enabling environment for those initiatives to work? You want something that requires coordination throughout the city, but you don't have any organ or institution that has that mandate. So it becomes impossible to even get results. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The MC has given me a signal that we are going over the time limit, and I would like to thank all the presenters. A round of applause for them, please. And at this time, I'll give the mic to the MC to give us instructions of what next.
Distinguished participants, once again, let's give them a big round of applause. They have done justice to the topic. This also goes back to the first plenary. Thank you so much. Let's line up for a group photo. If you can leave your papers and pens on your chairs, it will be nice. Unless you don't look too academicians for the photo. Please, if you can march forward. Yeah. Karibu tusogee mbele kidogo. Thank you so much. So I want to really keep this very short. It's been a long day, but it's been very informative. How many of us agree it's been a great day? Let's clap our hands that it's been a very great, informative day one. Without further ado, I will invite Dr. Yona Kimori for a quick highlight of what transpired today. And then thereafter, Dr. Yona will extend an invitation to Deputy Rector Academics, who will come and give us a closing note. Please take a note. You know, some of us might be feeling that we've been eating a lot, but no, we've been delaying eating. But there's tea and coffee that has been prepared for us. Please, let's make sure that it's not wasted. At least when we're going out, as we network, we talk, interact, we go to where we had lunches and snack out something. But also, we still have quite beautiful stuff tomorrow. We all know and are aware. We've seen on the programs. Please, let us start the day tomorrow at 9 o'clock so we have more ample time to read. Tea will be served here from 8:30. So those of us staying at hotels, you probably may not wish to stay until you have your breakfast. You can come and we have breakfast together so that from 9 o'clock sharp, we start the sessions. Without further ado, Dr. Yona, may I ask Dr. John to kindly prepare 2 minutes and then invite Dr. Yona to come and do the closing. Thank you.
Thank you, MC, and I'm given only 2 minutes to try to wind up, and I'll try my best to use the 2 minutes. So as you can remember, from morning we started with registration at the entrance, and when we came in, we were just waiting for the guest of honor. And our conference, which is the 4th conference of International Conference in Transport, Logistics and Management, started around 9:30, something like that. So we started with the national anthem, and then we had prayers from all denominations, from Muslim sector and Christians. So after that, there was a welcoming remark from Rector, Dr. Prosper Mgaya, who reminded us that this is the 4th international conference, and this conference started back in 2023. And From that, there's been a number of increase of international participation from 2 to 16. And this time around, we received 50 papers, of which in this conference, we shall be presented with 30, almost 30 papers. So after that, before we had the official opening by the Minister of Transport, Professor Makame Mbarawa, we had a keynote speech. Keynote speech was delivered by Professor Sando, who actually set the tone of the conference. But his presentation or his speech based on only 3 things: green and connectivity. Thereafter, the chair of the board, governing board, was also invited to welcome the minister for the speech. So the chairman talked about the responsibility of the council as to guide and strategically plan together with the institution for the betterment of the performance of the institution. So thereafter, the chair invited the guest of honor, who was today the Minister of Transport, Professor Makame Mbarawa, who actually insisted on the practicability of research. He actually told us that the research and discussions which will be held today and tomorrow should be put into practice. The government is not interested in research which are packed and shelved. So the practicability of the research is very much important for the government, and the government is ready to support the development, saying that transport is not only for people and goods. Transport is the key in the development of our economy as regard to Vision 2050. So after that, we had an opportunity to have group photos and then the breakfast. Thereafter, we had now the session for presentations. Actually, today we have listened or participated in this conference having 9 presentations, paper presentations, and 3 keynote speeches. So these are the things which transpired today. As we speak now, I think it's almost 2 minutes, and tomorrow we shall be having a wide recap of 2 days, whereby we shall have even the resolutions tomorrow. So with that, let me take this opportunity, because of the interest of time, to invite the Deputy Rector, Academic Research and Consultancy, Dr. John, to wind up this session, please. Thank you. Welcome, Dr. John.
Thank you very much. Yeah, good evening. On behalf of the NIT management and the whole family of NIT, I would like to take this opportunity, first of all, to appreciate all who have attended this day, of the first day of our 4th International Conference on Transport, Logistics, and Management. We really appreciate for your time. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank all keynote speakers for the very informative and insightful presentation. And also, I thank all the presenters for very informative and also insightful presentations. And thank you all participants for the discussions, questions, and the participations. Also, thank you very much, Governing Council members, for attending from morning up to now. I know that you have a very busy schedule but you were able to set aside time to attend in this conference, not only attending, but fully participating. Also, I would like to thank all postgraduate students for participating fully in this conference. They participated in presenting, but also in asking questions and everything. We know that today was just an opening day, and we are looking forward for tomorrow, where we will have fully now presentation sessions from morning to evening. Therefore, I know we are prepared for that. And once again, thank you very much. And I wish you all the best this evening. And now, may I now declare that today's programs for this 4th International Conference is officially closed. Thank you very much.
(2025). Wanapopiga picha, naomba nimlete sasa the session chair, Dr. Fatma Waziri, or Dr. Waziri Fatma. Mheshimiwa Dr. Waziri Fatma, for the planning, financing, and cross-cutting issues on transport and investment.
Good afternoon, everyone. In 8850? Okay, I'm honored to be the chair for this session, which is going with the title, Planning, Financing, and Cross-Cutting Issues in Transport and Investment. My name is Dr. Fatma Waziri. I am a sociologist and ESG expert. I work with construction industry as a social expert and ESG specialist. My company is Unitech, but also I'm part and parcel of NAT in academic and research. Okay, in this session we have 6 presenters. 3 of them are presenting virtually. We have Paul Humphrey David, Dennis Simuyuni, Birungi Kironde, Neema Mariki, and Johanna Maiga. Now, may I call upon the one who are here right now, starting with Dennis. Oh, no, not Dennis, Birungi Kironde. Online, okay. Neema Mariki. If you are here, please, from Bandari College. Neema Mariki. Okay, you're coming. Johanna Maiga. Welcome. Paula Humphrey from Tongji, China. Are you online already? Yes. Okay. We are about to start our session, and I would like to give you the first priority to start your presentation. But before I may introduce you by reading your biography. Humphrey Olivari. Miss Monyap. Oh, yeah. Olivari John, you are here. Physical, please come in front. Olivari John. Anakuja. Nomba hiyo yako. Okay, Mr. Paul Humphrey David is an engineer registered by Professional Civil Engineer Registration Board with number PE 78632, and a tutor in the Department of Transportation Engineering at Arusha Technical College in Tanzania. He's currently pursuing a PhD in Transportation Engineering at Tongji University, China, having earned a Master in Science in Traffic and Transportation Engineering from Beijing Jiaotong University, 2024. As a project planning and management from the Institute of Accountants, he took his Master's in 2022 and BSc in Civil Engineering in Bayer University of Science and Technology, 2017. His research interests include traffic engineering, intelligent transport system, electric and autonomous vehicles, construction management, and maritime, rail, intermodal transportation. Welcome, Mr. Paul. The floor is yours.
Thank you. As you have identified, my name is Paul Humphrey David. Today I'm going to present about identification of critical non-value adding activities during implementation of road construction projects, a case study of Arusha, Tanzania. So the presentation will be divided into 4 parts. First is the introduction part, whereby we discuss about background, criminal concepts, and the problem statement. The second part is case study, where we discuss on the status of construction industry in Tanzania, Arusha City, and provide a glimpse about reviewed literature. The third is methodology, which we'll discuss on the data collection method, analysis, results, and finding, and discussion. The last one is conclusion, whereby we provide the concluding remarks, future research, recommendation, and references. Construction industry functions as a critical driver.
Sorry, Humphrey. Sorry.
Yes?
Can you share your screen, please?
I don't know.
Yeah, you haven't shared it yet.
Okay. Sorry. I thought I was sharing. Thank you.
Put in presentation mode. Slideshow.
Okay. Today I'm going to present about identification of critical non-value adding activities during the implementation.
Humphrey, sorry again. Humphrey, sorry again. You haven't shared it in presentation mode. It is not yet there.
Now is okay?
No.
Mr. Paul, if you can go to view, yes.
Yes?
If you can go to, we want you to share in full screen. Slideshow, view show.
View show.
Or down on your screen, close to the time, you can go to full screen. Yes, there you go. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you. Now is okay.
It's okay now, you can proceed.
Okay, thank you. Today I'm going to present about the identification of critical non-value adding activities during implementation of road construction projects, a case study of Arusha, Tanzania. As we have discussed, the presentation is divided into 4 components: introduction, case study, methodology, and the conclusion. Construction industry functions are the critical driver of economic growth in developing economies and acts as a foundation for socio-economic progress. The sector facilitates infrastructure development and enhance the overall standard of living. As you can see in the figure, the construction life cycle is divided into 4-5 stages. First, we have initiation, whereby you conceptualize the project idea. And the second, we have planning, whereby you design the whole project in terms of drawings and the BOQ. And the third one is implementation and execution, whereby the road construction project is constructed based on the drawings. And we have performance and monitoring, whereby we are ensuring that what we have designed is the same or is similar as what has been constructed. Then last one is closing, whereby the project is handed over to the client. So all these 5 phases must be properly coordinated to ensure effective resource utilization in a construction project. So the preliminary concept of this study, first we need to define what value is. Value is anything a customer is willing and satisfied to pay for. It should meet the customer's needs at a specific price at a specific time. So value is normally defined by the consumer but created by the producer. So for our case, a producer is the construction team, which consists of the client, the consultant, and the contractor. What is a non-value adding activity? And is anything or any activity that consists of the project does not add any value to the final finish in structure or product. So for an activity to be a non-value adding activity, it should first consume resources, and second, it should not add any value to the finished product. To identify these non-value adding activities, especially critical ones, will provide valuable information that enable construction stakeholders and project managers to proactively mitigate the negative effects in advance. The problem statement. Generally, during the implementation of construction projects, non-value adding activities occur in various ways at each project phase. These issues contribute to reduction in the value of construction productivity, and also they reduce the project team performance. So, if non-value adding activities continue to prevail, then little accomplishment will be observed in relation to the capital efforts invested. So you will have inputs, but the output will be less in comparison to the to the inputs that is invested. Based on the literature review, we have 7 non-value-adding activities that are commonly occur in the implementation of projects. First is defects. These consist of all the products, service, and documentation imperfections, non-conformance, or errors. Second is inventory, whereby you have materials supply in excess than the required to meet customers' needs. We also have over-processing, which is additional and unnecessary non-value adding operations or processes. The fourth one is waiting or delays. This is unproductive time or deliberate cause of execution. The fifth one is unnecessary motion, which can be either unnecessary movement of machines, people, that at the end of the day they increase cost or cause inefficiency. The sixth one is overproduction. This is somehow similar to over-processing, but the difference is you are producing more earlier and faster than the customer is in mind. The last one is non-utilizing resource, which can be in form of not utilizing people, talent to the best of their ability, or not utilizing maybe machines to the best of their capacities. A case study for those who are not aware of Arusha. Arusha is located at the northern part of Tanzania. The case study was in Arusha City Council, which is one of the 7 districts of Arusha region, located in northern of Tanzania. It covers an southern communities. Tanzania's current status of construction is experiencing a strong growth, which is projected to continue with an average annual growth rate of about 7% between 2026 and 2029. The construction industry contributes 4.7% of the country's gross domestic product and 47.3% of the gross capital formation. This involves the acquisition of processed assets and the second-hand assets, as one of the previous presenters has discussed. Furthermore, the significant portion of the government development budget is also spent on construction projects. So this solidifies on why we need to research more on this sector of construction. Methodology, in terms of methodology, in terms of methodology, in order to identify critical non-value adding activities, the focus was on the frequency of occurrence of that activity in construction projects. Respondents were required to identify how frequently the non-value adding activities were occurring based on the 5 scale, which is never, rarely, occasionally, often, and always. 60 questionnaires were distributed, and out of those 60, 56 questionnaires were responded, which represents 93 of response rates. Organizations involved were Tarura, Town Roads, Arusha City Council, and TVA. The analysis part. The table illustrates demographic information of respondents in terms of their profession. We have civil engineers, technicians, up to procurement officers. Most of the respondents' work experience is from 6 to 10 years, which represents about 34%, and 11 to 15 years, which represents about 30%. Cronbach alpha test was used to test to measure the reliability, whereby the Cronbach alpha value and items with Cronbach alpha value of 0.7 were considered reliable in this study. Results and finding, the weighted risk score was calculated by multiplying frequency and the effect scores and then divided by the total frequency. So the table here shows the construction phase and the non-value adding activity means, standard deviation in the ranking. So for feasibility study, for instance, delays were identified as the most critical ones, followed by idle resources and defects. At the design stage, defects were identified as the most critical value, followed by delays and unnecessary movement, and so forth, so on. This is also a continuation of results and finding, whereby we have feasibility study, design stage, tendering stage, construction stage. So in terms of discussions, the study employed a mean-score analysis in ranking critical non-value adding activities in road construction. The higher the mean, the most critical the non-value adding. This methodology has a limitation in terms of not identifying which scale was rated the most. So if I want to know if the Likert scale of number E was rated the most or not, I cannot identify by using the mean score analysis. But this is not a detrimental case in the identification of critical non-value adding activities, since the ranking of variables can properly be done by the analysis. To conclude, in a nutshell, non-value adding activities can be reduced in construction projects by practicing effective lean project management. This is by focusing on the essentials and eliminate all the non-essentials through maximizing values while minimizing waste in project execution. Here also, artificial intelligence techniques nowadays can also be employed to improve efficiency of lean project management process. Another method is to conduct frequent training to increase awareness, because most people or most construction stakeholders are not aware of the non-value adding activities. Also, adequate site meetings is very important. Here we need to be very critical because sometimes frequent site meetings also end up to be one of the non-value adding activities in road construction projects. Last one is sufficient supervision for the construction project. The study related to this can be employed in other regions outside Arusha region, in and outside Tanzania. This study has also employed mean score analysis, but future studies can use linear regression analysis to check for relationship between variables. These are the references. Thanks for listening. Okay.
Thank you very much, Humphrey, for a very nice and timely presentation. Non-value adding activities during the construction of roads is very crucial study that needed to be conducted in various parts where projects are implemented, but also delays during time of feasibility studies, tendering stages, site meeting, or insufficient supervision are very crucial concepts or activities that need to be studied more and find some solutions on that. Thank you very much. And we will receive some questions for Humphrey, and then he will take time to answer them after all the presentation has been done. So now allow me to call the second presenter, Dennis Simuyuni, online again. Okay, Mr. Dennis, are you online already?
Yes, I'm online. Thank you so much. I'm not sure whether the presentation will be built or I'm expected to share my screen.
Yeah, you will share your presentation. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Dennis. Allow me to introduce you to the audience. Mr. Dennis Simuyuni is a project at Transide leading the Mobilizing Access to Maternal Health, MAMAS program in Zambia, with extensive experience in community health and project management. He focuses on improving access to maternal health care through strengthened community systems and innovative emergency transport solutions. His dedication has significantly contributed to reducing maternal and child mortality in underserved areas. In 2024, Dennis was recognized and shortlisted for the prestigious Victor Simfuku Award at Transaid's annual showcase event, highlighting his outstanding commitment to healthcare access. Dennis remains passionate about advancing Transaid mission of delivering lasting transport and health solutions. Welcome, Dennis. You have 15 minutes to present your work.
Thank you so much. Are you able to see my screen? Hello?
Yeah, we can see now.
Okay. Thank you so much for the introduction. As mentioned, my name is Dennis Simuyumi, and my presentation will be on women in the road transport sector, mostly, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, where we are conducting projects as Transaid. So basically, Transaid is a charity, a UK-based charity that aims to transform lives through safe, available, and sustainable transport solutions. So mostly our projects are in road safety and access to health. So within these two sectors or segments of the projects that we are currently we are implementing, we are going to focus more on women in transport, both as operators, also as customers or as clients. So the context to this is that globally, the transport sector, employs quite a number of people, but still dominated by men. Although there are quite a number of strides or rather advances to try and improve the number of women that are in the sector. There are quite a number of barriers, but for the sake of this presentation, we will focus on these three major ones, which is finance. It's very difficult for women to access finance. For example, if they want to, go in as operators, to have their own equipment or buses, it's difficult for them to, access finance, to be able to have their own assets to use in this business. Even in just as simple as maybe just owning a motorbike or a matatu, it's still difficult for them to access finance because of certain, attitudes that are attached to them. So attitude also is how we view as, communities, or rather, the world at large, how we view women. Also disadvantages them to be able to, venture into these, either owning their own businesses or just working those, in this transport sector. Because there's a belief that this is a male, sector that requires a certain physique or maybe a certain kind of character and so on and so forth. So this, really disadvantages, our women folks. The other one is gender stereotyping, where, they just believe that there is not so much that they can do. Women are, fragile, they belong to the kitchen, and so on and so forth. So this also, makes it a bit difficult for them to actually venture into this sector. So as a project, with our experience, we are going to share with you a few, research results, or rather, the case studies that we have, gathered over time. Yeah, that actually, talks to, what we are trying to present. As a project, we have been trying by all means to try and encourage the partners that we are working with to be able to, to have